let's make the Switch OLED better.
The perfect Switch OLED is almost complete. It just needs a little tweaking here, and a little tweaking here, and some lightning. It's alive! It's alive!
I will be honest, I love the Nintendo Switch OLED. I think it's great. Like, I personally wish this was the original Switch. Like, it's just so good. But there are some people who are not loving it as much as I am. A lot of people were disappointed with some upgrades that we didn't get. I know a lot of people were really hoping for 4K, which didn't happen. But I have a list of some just simple software updates that I feel like would bring peace to all of us and make everybody happy. What do we want? Software updates. When do we need them? Now! All right, here's the first update that people have been vying for a while, and that is social features. There is not a Netflix option on the Switch. There's a Hulu. But it's not the same, especially if you're like me and you're cheap and you don't pay for the Hulu without commercials. Like, I just want to watch content without commercials on my Switch. That's all I ask. But Hulu isn't the only thing that would be a great social feature to have on the Switch. I feel like Instagram would work really well with this because you can take so many screenshots like on your Switch, and I feel like those pictures don't really go anywhere. They're just kind of like in your photo album unless you really want to go for it and like airdrop footage over. But honestly, who has time for that? If you had an Instagram option or any kind of photo sharing app option, it would just make that feature actually make sense. And there would just be so much fun Nintendo content out there because we could see everybody's snapshots. The other thing we really need is a redesigned eShop. There have been so many fan designs that have been out there. I, in particular, am partial to like the Apple kind of inspired design that we've seen, but I also think we just need a song. Like, even if they just gave us a song, I would love that. Like, the Wii Shop channel song is a bop. Everybody knows it. It is like a good song. And when you go into the eShop on the Switch, nothing, dead silence. Like, we went from this to this. Do you see my problem? We just like need something to like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but my soul just needs it. That and also the design, you know, could use some work. I am really scared though with like, everything's changing with logos lately. I feel like every brand is getting a new logo, and I really like Nintendo's logo. So Nintendo, don't redesign your logo. Keep the logo the same, just like the eShop and my next point that I'm gonna get into. I almost spoiled it for everyone. I feel like if there's one thing that Nintendo could take away from Animal Crossing New Horizons is how much their consumers really love like individualization. I would just love, and I think a lot of people would agree, they would love the option to be able to just customize their themes on their Switch. I think a lot of people would be really happy with that and spend a lot of time making really cool things. And again, everything I mentioned so far is a really easy change that doesn't require new hardware. It's just a software update, but I think would still make a lot of people happy. I know there's still gonna be holdouts and be like, we don't want 4K, but I think this would be enough to really pacify the crowd, you know? The next thing is a new Joy-Con design. Now this one is a hardware suggestion, but you'd only have to redesign really the Joy-Con. Like the rest of the Switch, you could just kind of, and everything would work the same. So there's no reason to actually change the OLED in any way. Like the Joy-Cons are a separate entity. And it's just really shocking to me, especially because of how much problem they had with Joy-Con drift, that like they didn't do anything about it. Like when it came to the new console, they're just like, and the Joy-Cons are exactly the same, but they're white, which is cool, but exactly the same other than that, and not even all of them are white. The other one is just the same color as we had before. I feel like there is some room for improvement there, Nintendo. And yes, there are different modifications you can get for your Joy-Cons from like third-party sellers, but I feel like it's still not the same. I want like a certified Nintendo option. And what they did with the Joy-Cons are really cool, and I'm not dissing that, but I'm just saying it was like the #1 technical problem that they experienced with the first model, and I just kind of wish they would have like learned from that and applied some things differently with the OLED, you know? Everyone's gonna be on board for this next one, and that is new Switch colors. I love all the different colors that the Switch Lite has, and I wish we had that variety for like an OLED and just a regular Switch. There are special editions, don't get me wrong, and you know, OLED has a white color now, which is very exciting, but other than that, there isn't much variety for like your actual Switch outside of a special edition. The one cool thing I guess about the special edition Switches that we've seen so far is that they do also have like a really cool design like on the back of the Switch. From the front, like you can usually barely even tell the difference. I would just love more customization options. I feel like, again, I've said this like a million times, but if Animal Crossing New Horizons has taught us anything, is that people love to customize and make them unique. I think that would just be a really easy way for Nintendo to incorporate that for people, and again, make a lot of people happy without giving us any like significant hardware changes. Another thing that has been causing a lot of buzz on the internet is the desire for a new Switch UI. And so that's basically like your menu, your home screen, all of that kind of like internal stuff that doesn't necessarily involve like opening up a game software, but you're still kind of like scrolling through your Switch. The design is just kind of lackluster. Again, there's nothing like really exciting or kind of like modern about it, and there have been a lot of fan designs for something new. Again, I feel like this is something that they can just kind of see the fan appeal and just create a new update very easily that would make a lot of people really excited and give them kind of like a new crisp lines or just a new overall like vibe from the Switch. I actually shared one of my favorite designs for this. This is actually my favorite fan design, and it was kind of made based off of the Apple iOS design. It's really cool, and I've actually shared it in a video before. And this is probably the #1 change that people really want from the Switch. I am about to say it, and everyone's gonna groan and roll their eyes, and that is 4K gameplay. I feel like we've all heard it so many times, and Nintendo, honestly, I think is sick of hearing it from us too. As we know, there was some Twitter drama very recently between Bloomberg News and Nintendo when Bloomberg News posted an article saying that they had talked to a bunch of manufacturers and they were getting 4K games ready for Nintendo, and Nintendo shut that down right away. Like, this is their response. I'm obsessed. A news report on September 30th falsely claims that Nintendo is supplying tools to drive game development for Nintendo Switch with 4K support. To ensure correct understanding among our investors and customers, we want to clarify that this report is not true. Now here's where it gets very interesting. We also want to restate that as we announced in July, we have no plans for any new model other than the Nintendo Switch OLED, which will launch on October 8th, 2021. If that is not a knock it off, I don't know what is. Nintendo is sick of hearing us. We're like the kids like in the back seat on like a road trip, and our parents are just like, shut up, we're done. That is exactly what just happened. I'm gonna go ahead and say it's not gonna be anytime soon, and that Nintendo is very annoyed with us bringing it up so much. Our very last suggestion that everyone's been talking about is something that would be a hardware update, but again, I think we're at least making progress on it. And that is, a lot of people are asking for a better battery life. At least the OLED we have now has the battery life of the previous LCD version of the Switch versus the original version of the Switch, which had the worst battery life. Currently we have about 4.5 to 9 hours, which is pretty good for someone if you're like me and you kind of like get distracted throughout, so you're not really playing like a game for 9 hours straight. Could be better for those hardcore gamers, but I will say, I feel like we are at least on our way, you know? Again, something that makes me really excited about pretty much everything we've mentioned on this list is that all of them could just be software updates. So hopefully these are things we're getting in the future, especially because we got those Bluetooth headphones, so I have hope for us, you know? And until then, again, I'm having fun with my OLED. would, and I feel like you will too. I just wanted to jump in here and say really quickly, thank you guys so much for subscribing. Our numbers have jumped up so much, and I'm so appreciative for every single one of you who subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, I would love your support, but no pressure, you know, it's all right if we're just chilling. You don't want to make any commitments yet. It's all right, it's okay. I understand commitment issues. Also, extremely important, if you have not entered our OLED giveaway yet, it is coming to a close very, very soon. So don't procrastinate any longer. Let this be your sign. Check out the link in my description for more details.